This is some basic instruction on how to add a mailbox into the control panel. The first thing you must do is log into the control panel, and you can do that by going to www.123together.com. Click on the Login tab up at the top of the page, and once you provide your full email address and password, you'll click on the Login. You'll have two options here. You're going to go to the Manage Users tab, and you'll see I've already created a user here called Joe Jones. If you wanted to add, for example, another user, Steve Smith, you'll notice that there's some options in a dark gray section that says Actions for Training Account, which is my company name, and your company name will have a different name, obviously. And you're going to choose Add MS Exchange User Single Recommended. Click on the single recommended link, and then we have some required fields that need to be filled in. First being first name, of course, and last name, and display name, which is how it shows up on the control panel. Passwords are also required. The from email address is Steve's actual email address, and in our scenario we're going to call it Steve at the company name. The additional email address fields is called an alias field, and what you can do with that field is if you think people are going to email your company, for example customer service, questions at your company, things like that, you can go ahead and add those here. So I'm going to add questions at yourdomain.test is my company name, or my domain name, excuse me. And that takes care of the additional email address. If you would like to add more, you actually can add an unlimited amount. We have three more fields here, one being administrator for company. By putting a check mark in this box here, that'll give Steve the ability to add users in the 123 control panel, add services, BlackBerry, SharePoint, CRM, things like that. And in my case, I'll leave that check mark there. The send welcome email is a good piece of information that will send the user a welcome email that gives him some login information, passwords, things like that, sent from our system. And lastly, hide from the address list. What this will do is it will hide Steve from the global address list within your company, meaning if you're going to draft an email and you're going to select on the to field, you'll notice that Steve, if you hid this user from the address list, will not show up in that list. You can still email Steve by using his primary email address of Steve at your company, or you can just leave this box unchecked and you'll see Steve in the drop-down list. And that takes care of the required fields. And once you're done with the required fields, we have another field called the additional profile fields. You can expand that. None of this information is required fields. It's all good information to use. It gives you the option to add phone numbers, departments, titles, things like that for this particular user. And lastly is the mobility tab. Now within the mobility tab, it allows you to add mobility service to this user's profile. First one being BlackBerry service. When you enable BlackBerry service for this user, the system will stamp a 48-hour password for the activation, which is called an activation password. So mind you that if you add this user today, you have 48 hours from the time you add this user to get that BlackBerry connected to our server. ActiveSync is another one that does not put a timestamp, and ActiveSync is used for iPhones, Palm Pres, just to name a few. HTC Android is another one that just came out. And also GoodLink service. Once you've added these services, if you choose to do so at this panel, you'll have another choice at another time to add services, so don't feel like you have to add them right now. You'll save these changes, and if all is well and you made no mistakes, you're going to see your user end up in the user list. And that takes care of adding a mailbox for a user in the control panel. If you have any questions or need further assistance, you can always go to www.123together.com/support, and we have a full support section there to answer your questions, or our department is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can feel free to call us at 800-967-3924.